Let's talk today about retention. So, we all know that if we were to keep all the lovely students in our schools for many, many, many years, that life would be so much easier because all we then need to do is focus purely on bringing in new students in order for our schools to grow. But of course, we count all those lovely new students that we attract each term and we think, yay, we've grown by an extra 10 students. But we forget, sometimes I think kind of half on purpose because it feels nicer, we forget that we've lost five. So in fact, we've only grown by five new students. And I often describe this as having a leaky bucket. So, imagine that you've got a whole bunch of pebbles in a bucket, and these are your students, and there's a little bit of a hole in the bottom of that bucket. Now, if you're doing lots of marketing and advertising and you get 10 more students come in and they fill up the top of your bucket, but you've equally got 10 students going out because they're leaving, then your school obviously stays the same. It's what I call kind of being a bit stagnant. And many people come to me and they say, Deborah, we just haven't grown in years. Like we haven't lost any, but we haven't grown. We just still stay the same. Like, how do we get the school to grow? And I kind of look into what marketing and attraction they're doing. Are they doing lots or are they not really doing any? But we also look at the retention, because imagine if you could plug that hole in that bucket, like make the hole really tiny so that hardly any students are able to fall out the bottom. Then every new student joining is probably going to impact the growth of your school. So we don't want to have, the scales evenly balanced. We want to have lots of marketing going on, so lots of new ones coming in, and a really small hole in your bucket, so hardly anyone leaving. And that's where the schools are that are just going from strength to strength to strength. So let's talk about how we plug that hole. Like, how do we stop those students from slowly dripping out the bottom of our bucket? Well, one would think that running beautiful classes with fabulous teachers and, a great community feel and, great progress, great results, these are all the things that are important. And absolutely, they are all important. But there's another side to retaining your customers, if you don't mind me calling them that for a second. And that is actually not just about the classes that they pay for. The other side is the other events that you provide for them, the other opportunities that you provide for them. So, for example, do you give your students opportunities to go out and perform? Because let's face it, that's why they're learning to dance. Or do you only give them the opportunity to do, say, a concert or a recital or a show once a year or once every 2 years? Do you run family events for your community? Things like, a summer barbecue or picnic in the park or Easter egg hunts, things that aren't really anything to do with dance. They're just about bringing your dance family together. Because when you bring them together, they start to get to know each other. The parents get to know each other. The grandmas get to know each other. The kids get to know kids in other classes. Like you start to build relationships, and relationships equal a bond. It's like being a honeypot. You want people to come and stick with your school for many years. So in order to do that, you need to create this amazing community. So family events, opportunities for your kids to perform, also opportunities for your kids to experience dance or performing arts in other ways other than just their once a week class. So do you take them for workshops? Do you take them on trips? Do you take them to the theatre? Do you help expand their dance kind of education? Do you take them to perform in Disneyland? Do you take them to Los Angeles on a big kind of learning experience, traveling around some of the studios? Like, there are all kinds of events that you can include your children with or in order to give them more than just their weekly dance class that they pay for. So these things are what I call retention events or retention strategies. And I do speak to many people when they first join me in my membership. In fact, I get people to fill out a little studio audit form. And, I say, what do you do for student retention other than running really amazing classes with great teachers and having a high standard and being super friendly? Like, what else do you do? And sometimes people say, well, what else am I meant to do? I don't know. Like, that's surely that's what they pay for, and so that's what they get. Like, what else is required, Deborah? And I think, as I said, from the things I've already mentioned, there's quite a lot that's required. And if you are a school that currently really only does those, what I call the bare minimum, like delivering the service that people are paying for, then it's quite possible that they could find themselves being tempted to go to another school or another studio. Because when they find out that their friend has just had a sleepover at the studio and they all had pizza and watched dance movies, or they find out that their friend is busy this weekend going up to London to Sadler's Wells to perform or perform in the West End, or they found out that their cousin goes to a school where they've all gone to the cinema, to see Cats. Like, that's one of the things that I did when Cats came out. I arranged a trip with my students to take them to that, or a trip to the theatre, like a yearly panto trip, like all these things that mean being in your school is fun. Like, it really is fun. It's not just about the class. I say this often. Some of you are probably fed up with hearing me say this, but they come for the class, but they stay for the community. So I thought I would just share with you guys today the planners that I have produced for dance school owners, because these are flying out of Amazon like hotcakes. And if you don't have yours yet, then all you have to do is pop to Amazon and type into the search Deborah Laws, and all 3 books will come up. So the Ultimate Dance Business Planner I designed for you so that you had a little bit of a Deborah on your desktop. The planners are full of business training, tips, motivational quotes, things to do at the start of the month, things to do at the end of the month, ways in which you can plan out your marketing and your retention, and they are selling all over the world. So go to Amazon, grab your #1 best-selling Ultimate Dance Business Planner, and enjoy mapping out the growth for your studio. They come for the class, but they stay for the community. So retention is all about building the strategy around your community so that that's what they stay for. And I give this example often of a student that used to come to my school who started when she was 3, and she stayed right up until she was 19 when she left to go to university. And I say it with the most kindness and the most loving heart, but this student never really showed a huge love of dance. Let's just put it that way. She wasn't the most enthusiastic. She wasn't the happiest of children in my class. She rarely spoke. She always put herself on the back line. And, well, I just sometimes wondered why she was still there at 12 or 13 or 14. And just before she left, I said to her, I'd love to know, what is it that you love about the school? Why have you stayed dancing right up until the week before you left to go to university? What is it that you love about dance? And she said, I'll be completely honest with you. She said, I don't even really love dance that much. She said, but I would hate to lose all the lovely events and the other things that we do as part of the school. She said, I love doing the shows. I love being involved as a senior with helping backstage, being a senior ambassador. She said, I love the trips that we do to London, and I love going to the theatre, and I love helping out on a Saturday morning, and I love the events that we do when our friends and our family can come along, and I love the charity event that we did last year, and and she reeled off all these things that were part of my retention strategy. And she said to me, I think that's why I'm still here after all those years. So isn't that fascinating? Like, she's paying money to do a dance class, But that's not even necessarily why she's still coming to dance. And so one of the ways to really, or the main way to really fill that hole in the bottom of your bucket is to create these amazing other reasons for people to stay in your school. So I would really love to encourage you all to think a little bit about what is it that you've got planned for the next 12 months for each of your age groups, because not everything that you're going to create is suitable for everyone. So for example, I used to plan in 3 trips to the theatre. One would be for my tinies, like literally for like 3 up. And I used to take them to the, I think it was the Birmingham Royal Ballet that used to do like little special 1 hour performances for like early years children. So we used to have that in the diary for them. I'd then go and have a trip to a musical that was really light-hearted, family, like Hairspray or Grease, or something that was appropriate for like the middle school. And then I would have a trip to the theatre to see something that was maybe not quite so appropriate for the younger ones. So something like Les Mis or Billy Elliot, or something where you think, oh gosh, parents might not be very happy if they go too long to this musical. Book of Mormon. I wouldn't take my middle school to Book of Mormon. So, I'd have 3 different trips. So I made sure that there was something for all the ages in the school. And then I would do things like, a performance in the West End with my older sort of top upper half of the school. But then equally, I would have, a little fun Mad Hatter's Tea Party at Easter for my kind of under sevens. So, you do need to make sure that you create strategies that kind of incorporate everybody at some point in the year, so that it's not just your older students that you're taking care of, or your little ones that you're taking care of. So think about it really broadly. And if you're, for example, just an adult school, think about it in terms of what can I create for my beginners? What can I create for my improvers? What could I create that would really only be suitable for my advanced dancers? It's the same really, no matter what you teach. We have different demographics of people in our school, whether it's age, ability, the genres that they take. So just be sure to try and take care of everybody at some point, and just kind of sit and map out the events that you do currently do and look at them and say, right, is this enough? Are people still interested in these events? Are these getting a bit, a bit old hat now? We've done this for several years. It's getting hard, to keep people interested in this event. Maybe we'll switch it up and we'll do something completely different next year. So what do you currently do? Is it enough? Could you add in some more strategies? Could you add in something that is also going to be an attraction event at the same time? Maybe you're trying to tick the box of your students getting out and doing a bit more performing in public, and so you arrange for them to go and do a little performance at the local school fete or in the local carnival. Like, that is to keep your current students happy and engaged and loving these extra activities. But of course, that's also a marketing tool, isn't it? And therefore it ticks 2 of those boxes, which is even more amazing. And then the third thing I often say is, let's try and turn some of your events, not all of them, but just, the odd one, into a charity or a fundraising event, because that always really brings people together as well. And the great thing about that is that you're helping your community, you're giving back to your community. And it's also a fabulous way of getting into the local press, because they generally kind of want to see you doing some kind of good for the community if you're going to end up in a local newspaper or magazine. So it's one of those events that are more likely to help you get that kind of local visibility than just something that is for you as a profit earning business. So have fun, everybody, with just sitting down. Maybe go and grab yourself a coffee after you've listened to this, and you can either look at what you've got planned this year. Maybe you haven't planned anything because you don't really plan. You do things, on the whim or kind of in the spur of a moment. But maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to start planning things. And you might look at things and go, do you know what, Deborah? I am all over this. Like, retention is my thing. I give so much to my students. They get so many other activities. Like, this is the last thing I need to do is add even more, in which case I'd say, amazing. Like, pat yourself on the back. but let's look at maybe more marketing instead. So I never just leave you to rest easily on your morals, that everything's taken care of. I've always got something else for you to work on. But if retention isn't great for you, and if, there's still more you could learn, what you could do is jump on my website, dancebusinesslab.com, and look under masterclasses. I think it's in shop actually. And under masterclasses, there's an actual training that you can buy called Retention Solutions. And that will give you heaps of ideas. It also teaches you how to work out your retention percentage. So that's an interesting one. Like every month or every term, what is your percentage in terms of the kids that you are staying in your school? And lots of other goodies. So that's a little masterclass on the website you can purchase if you're interested in knowing more. Have fun, everybody, creating your retention plan for the next 12 months, and take care of everybody in your studio with your retention strategies. And my last little bit of advice is, don't overwhelm yourself by going too over the board and trying to do too much. All right, everybody, take care. Are you looking to get precious time back in your life so you can make more time doing the things you love? DanceBiz is a class management and booking software from the lovely folk at Think Smart that will automate and streamline all your dance school admin. It's the perfect tool for all those tasks that just seem to take so long, and will help you to work smarter, not harder. Message me today, folks, and I can give you a code so you can get 2 months free.